Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. There was one story yesterday which, of course, the mainstream media missed out on a large scale, and that was the elections to the Ladakh Autonomous Hill District Council, where Congress and National Conference combined swept the elections, getting 22 seats out of 26. And if I can give you a breakup, National Conference won 12 seats, Congress won 10. And mind you, BJP won just 2 seats. Now, this was the first election which was held after the Article 370 was revoked and Ladakh was converted into a union territory. So since the results have come yesterday, everyone is asking that are these results a referendum on the revocation of Article 370? Have the people of Kargil and Ladakh in a way rejected BJP for the promises they made? Joining me now is veteran journalist and editor-in-chief of Kashmir Times, Anuradha Bhasin. Thank you so much, Anuradha, for joining on the Federal. And my first question to you really is, what do you really have to say to the results of this Ladakh Autonomous District Council? Though it's a local body poll, but it has huge ramifications, large message for the people. What do you really have to say about the results?
Well, the results show, the BJP has been saying that they are bringing in development, they're bringing in prosperity after Jammu and Kashmir was dismembered, and the two units are now under direct control of Delhi as union territories. And that was their promise, to bring in peace and prosperity and development. And so far, the elections have only been held in Kargil. These are I think, it's fair to say that this is an expression of the disenchantment of the people of Kargil against the BJP's policies. And one of the main issues appears to have been the policies that are in place after the union territory was formed. And Ladakh has two districts, Leh and Kargil. So these are polls in the Kargil area, not in Leh as yet. Leh is overwhelmingly Buddhist majority. Would it be any different in Leh? It's difficult to say, because there are simmerings of discontent in both the districts over the policies of the government, over the fact that the government promised peace. However, there are security concerns for the people of Ladakh with the Chinese transgressions. There are ecological concerns. It's a very difficult area to live in, and people are extremely conscious about their ecology. So with a large focus on tourism, development, where people are complaining that the locals are being marginalized, the local businessmen are being marginalized, and there is fear of demographic change, particularly in Kargil, and all of these. There is a resounding victory for the National Conference and the Congress. And the BJP's route is an indication of what the BJP's policies, how the BJP's policies are impacting people.
Right. But Anuradha, if I may ask you, that supposing if the elections are held today in the valley, or maybe in the Kashmir Valley, I'm talking about, that would it have similar kind of results, what we have just seen in Ladakh?
It's so difficult to say, as Kashmir has been kind of silenced. And if you see that there is little political activity, there are some political voices, but little political activity. There's very little information trickling down from the grassroots level. So it's very difficult to say exactly how it will pan out, but the silence is abnormal and eerie and shows that there is a lot of resentment, there is anger, and there is also not just anger. Anger always existed in the valley. Alienation existed in the valley, and today we are dealing also with hatred for what the Indian government has done in Kashmir, in a militarized zone, through excessive repression. And that anger is not just limited to Kashmir Valley. It is also transcending to the other regions which have which have different politics, which have different aspirations. In Jammu region, in the Muslim majority areas of Jammu region, even in the Hindu majority areas of Jammu region, where BJP has had traditionally has had some presence, and in the last 10 decades, Jammu's Hindu majority areas has aligned itself with Modi's BJP. Even there is, I won't say there is anger, but there is a sense of alienation, there is a sense of discontent, because people fear that with the new policies, with the autonomy gone, and with Jammu and Kashmir being reduced to a union territory status, they would lose their jobs, they would lose their lands and businesses because these were exclusive privileges of the people, the permanent residents of the state, and they no longer have these exclusive privileges. So there is a fear that they will be marginalized with people from outside the state coming in.
Right. But would it be right to say that these election results are a kind of referendum on the revocation of Article 370, given the fact that this is the first local body poll which has been held in Ladakh after the revocation? So, and everyone is, seemingly taking it like that. So, would it be right to call it a referendum on the revocation of Article 370?
No, I wouldn't say that. That has been one of it would be, we'll be jumping the gun if we're just saying it's a referendum. These were elections. So elections are usually about the day-to-day issues of the people.
Hmm.
And though Article 370 and whatever has happened in the last 4 years is a factor, was one of the issues, was a major issue, but it would be an oversimplification to say it's a referendum.
Right. But Anuradha, Ladakh, was part of the state, and then it was bifurcated. It became a union territory. But these results certainly show that people have not benefited from the status of a union territory the way they must have thought. So, would you say that, particularly the idea of converting Ladakh into a union territory, that has been rejected by the people?
Yes, that's very interesting. This has happened in Ladakh, which has for a long time been demanding a union territory status, because people in Ladakh felt that they were marginalized within the older system of Jammu and Kashmir. If you see the geographical location of the land, if you see the vast area and the scattered and population, it's not very highly populated. There are just about 2.5 to 3 lakh people living in that vast area, which is larger than the other, than Jammu and Kashmir, the other union territory. But that they felt discriminated. It's a difficult area, and they felt neglected. There was a deep-rooted sense of discrimination against the previous system. But now there are, we've heard voices from, and particularly from Kargil and even from Leh, that, we were better off before than we are right now. So
Right.
this is an interesting development. Um,
But the kind of results which we have seen, Congress getting 10 seats, National Conference getting 12 seats, what would you really say, about the political dynamics there? If elections were to be held today, we do not know as to when elections are going to be held in Kashmir. But supposing if elections are held today, then do these two parties really stand a chance of winning? Just taking a cue from what has just happened in Ladakh.
Um, traditionally, Congress and National Conference have existed in Kargil, and that's also true for most parts of Jammu and Kashmir as it stood before 2019. But in the valley, the Congress has much less presence. Its National Conference or the other regional parties, including the People's Democratic Party. It's difficult to say how people will vote, whether they will come out to vote. Kashmir also has the history of boycott politics, and it remains to be seen. The other thing is that the delimitation commission that happened in, if you're going to have elections in Jammu and Kashmir any time, that will impact some of the electoral politics, because of the way that the gerrymandering of the boundaries has taken place. Attaching even geographically and culturally incongruous areas and bringing them together to suit a particular the BJP vote bank, mainly to do that. New criteria have been formed, and it was done out of turn, the delimitation commission, whereas there is a freeze across the country till 2026. And here is a state that you've reduced to 2 union territories in the name of integrating them, and single it out for a delimitation commission as to, and kind of brutally changed the constitutional, the electoral boundaries of.
Right. What would you really say to the delay in announcing the elections, and the political processes still haven't taken off the way it should be taking off in Kashmir? Now, what is the reason? You initially said that Kashmir has been silenced and there is an eerie silence which exists. So what is really happening? Not much is coming out of the four walls within which the Kashmir is confined. Still, there are not many stories coming out as to what is the real picture, except for BJP saying that, look, we've done so much of development and now there are so many tourists who are coming in. So look, Kashmir is on its Vikas Yatra, never seen before. So are these reports correct? What is the sense you get from the ground?
These reports are totally, of course, tourists are coming. Tourists have come before also. There have been phases in Kashmir, even during militancy. Tourism has seen its ups and downs through the last 3.5 decades. So it's not something very different from what the kind of tourism that we've seen earlier. But, there's also a jugglery of figures. And if you see that, right now they're counting the pilgrims under the category of tourists, which wasn't happening earlier. And that makes the whole difference, in terms of looking better. But if they're talking about, there's peace, there is a lot of development, people are happy, let people say it. When the government is saying it and there are no people's voices and there's a complete mismatch, why is it that, journalists today in Kashmir are being persecuted? Why is it that they are being silenced in different ways, through intimidating ways? Why is it that the civil society is not being allowed to play its role? Civil society activists have been jailed or intimidated or their houses raided. There are no civil society actions or activities going on today in Kashmir. Any kind of organization, any kind of protest, which is a sign of normalcy, which is a sign of democracy, that doesn't exist. And as long as we see this kind of an abnormality, it's difficult either to make an assessment of what is really happening in Kashmir. And Kashmir, it's not just about elections. It has a history which is, which can create major security concerns for India. And we would, when there are no voices, we really don't know what is happening. It can take a dangerous turn, and we're just oblivious of it.
But Anuradha, it is certainly dangerous because the government of the day wants you to believe and wants the world to believe that, Kashmir, everything is normal. But when we talk to people like you are saying that there is an eerie silence, there is no demonstration happening, journalists are not allowed to write. So is the situation really imploding? Because when people are not allowed to vent their feelings, and it's only the government of the day which is talking. So is Kashmir in a state of implosion right now? It's just about to implode.
There might be a gestation period. It's difficult to say when, but that's the natural consequence of what is happening. When you don't give people a vent, you crush the people to a limit, you silence them. And that is the natural consequence. Where it's only a matter of timing. It's only a matter of what form it will take. And that is a little frightening.
We also saw Rahul Gandhi, making a trip to Ladakh, and a lot of positive pictures came out where people mingled with him. And Congress, of course, was quick enough to say that, taking all the credit that, look, Rahul Gandhi did a Bharat Jodo Yatra, and as a result of which Congress has got good results. Now, would it be right to assume that, the Bharat Jodo Yatra has had some kind of a positive or a therapeutic effect on the minds of the people?
Yes, I'm surprisingly, even for me, the kind of reception in Ladakh wasn't unexpected. But, earlier during the winters when he went to Kashmir Valley, one had not expected people to come out, but they did. And, people who were not even connected with the Congress. And the valley has, Congress only has a marginal presence in the valley. It never had a very large presence. So when he walked and, people joined him and people came out and people talked about their anger and their anguish and their anxieties, it was a bit surprising. But it shows that, if somebody comes with a different message, that people will receive it differently.
Right. But it also show that, the bruised minds, the bruised hearts really want some kind of a healing, which has not happened in the last 5 years. I mean, post 2019.
It shows a situation of desperation also. That you have nobody to look up to. And so whoever comes and says something nice to you, and you would want to align with that, whether you politically believe in it or not, it was interesting for me.
But Anuradha, would it be right to say that there is a political numbness which now has set in? People are not thinking politically. Would it be right to say that? Because the political processes have not kicked off. Of course, some random voices are heard, but there is a numbness.
Absolutely. I think there is numbness. Numbness is one word that defines Jammu and Kashmir today, particularly Kashmir Valley. And when you're numb, when that again is an indication of an abnormality, it's difficult to think politically. So you would be politically numb as well. I don't think there is any thinking going on. People are just silently waiting and watching.
So in the light of this kind of a situation, which we've been discussing for the past almost like 15 minutes, if I were to come to the conclusion and, analyze the results of Ladakh Hill District Council, would you say that this looks like some kind of a ray of hope for the Kashmiris, for the people in the valley?
It's difficult to say that it's a ray of hope. People in Kashmir has been absolutely silent. Do they want elections? Yes, I'm sure, people whose at the end of the day, for them, the day-to-day issues do matter. They need their water, they need their electricity, they need their roads. The sadak, bijli, pani issues are always there. That drives them to the ballot boxes, even if they might think politically different. But in Jammu, there has been, there is a desire for elections to be held as soon as possible. People are, so in that sense, will the government go ahead with the elections? I'm not sure. They've been talking about, so they've been kind of procrastinating and delaying. The government has been procrastinating and delaying the elections on some pretext or the other. They don't want to talk about it. And they've been contradicting themselves on certain occasions. They'll say things are peaceful now. Absolutely, we've maintained absolute peace and militancy is on its last legs. And then they'll quote the lack of peace as a pretext to delay elections for till posterity. But they're also talking about having local body polls, but not the assembly elections. And they had the last panchayat elections were held in 2018. They're already due, but there are no signs of even starting the panchayat elections, starting the municipal elections. Whether people
the government somewhere is scared of holding municipal elections or maybe assembly elections because it knows probably what the result could be?
Well, they're scared, but the people are also watching. The last time that the municipal body elections were held in Jammu and Kashmir 3 years ago, and BJP didn't win. I mean, it was routed in most pockets. And there was a clean sweep in most of these elections, particularly by National Conference and the Congress, were much ahead. But after the elections, they manipulated and tried to co-opt the councillors to get their majorities in quite a few of these pockets. And so people are also apprehensive that even if there is a sense of skepticism with respect to elections, there is a sense of distrust of the government. I mean, distrust has always existed, and particularly in Kashmir Valley, but of how elections pan out, of how elections can be manipulated or rigged. But after the municipal council elections and the way that, the BJP tried to get its majority through coercive methods, I think that distrust has increased.
Right. One last question, Anuradha, before I wind up the interview, that of course, these days, the talk of the town is BJP versus India alliance. And someone like P. Chidambaram, after he saw the results yesterday of the Ladakh Hill District Council, he said that it's a resounding victory for Congress and it's a real comeback of the India alliance and BJP is routed. Now, would it be like jumping the gun to say that India alliance is going to do well? But if you look at the pan-state situation, not just Ladakh, but would you believe to say that the India alliance formula together, if all the parties come, it might work for Jammu and Kashmir also?
Jammu and Kashmir has, there are certain particularities of Jammu and Kashmir's politics, and there would be I think across India. India is so diverse. Um, the regional voices matter more, the regional parties, the regional power. Whether the alliance will help in Jammu and Kashmir, but definitely I think overall people need some change. They are looking forward to some change. And it's probably fair to say that they want, they're not happy with the present system of a majoritarian BJP government. It might be fair to say that, at least in many parts of Jammu and Kashmir, in many parts of India, they would want a change.
So you're saying that if elections were to be held today, that probably people will end up rejecting BJP or the present system of governance.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much, Anuradha, for joining on the Federal. It was wonderful to talk to you. And one appeal to the viewers. You're welcome. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.